Kenya's exports, tourism and remittances, as well as raise costs of essential commodities. In the domestic scene, extreme weather may impact agriculture, infrastructure, and food security. The government is monitoring these risks closely and will take necessary action and measures to safeguard macroeconomic stability. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, let me now expound on the policy, priorities, and structural reforms that the government is implementing to sustain economic growth and improve livelihood of Kenyans. The priorities are under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Mr. Speaker, as I have already affirmed earlier in my statement, government's initiatives under Better over the last 2.5 years have resulted in significant successes, notwithstanding a challenging domestic and external landscape. Over the medium term, the government will consolidate the gains already realized to stimulate sustainable economic recovery for improved livelihoods. Towards this end, the government will continue to implement policies, programs, projects, and the interventions geared towards 1. Bringing further down the cost of living, 2. Ensuring food security, 3. Creating jobs, 4. Expanding the tax base, 5. Improving foreign exchange balances, and finally, fostering inclusive growth. Priority will be given to attracting strategic investment across Better's 5 core pillars and their enablers, using a value chain approach to enhance production and add value and improve market access. This will be supported by a whole-of-government approach to service delivery. Mr. Speaker, the government will also implement the following interventions to support and accelerate economic recovery. First, continue to uphold macroeconomic stability and strengthen security to ensure a safe and supportive business environment. Second, accelerate the development of key infrastructure, including roads, railway, energy, and water systems to lower the cost of doing business and ease the movement of the people and goods. Third, boost investment in key economic sectors to drive broad-based sustainable growth by advancing agricultural transformation, strengthening manufacturing, promoting environmental conservation and climate change mitigation, revitalizing tourism, and ensuring sustainable land use and management. Fourth, strengthen human capital development by increasing investment in health, education, and targeted social safety nets for vulnerable populations to achieve both social and economic outcomes. Fifth, promote empowerment of youth, women, and persons living with disability through government-funded programs complemented by strategic partnerships with private sector organizations. Sixth, facilitate fiscal decentralization by allocating shareable revenues to county governments to bolster institutional capacity and improve service delivery. And finally and lastly, undertake policy, legal, and institutional reforms to improve efficiency and effectiveness in public service delivery. I want to now turn to a presentation on building resilience against climate change. Here, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, climate change, we all know, is now a global crisis, and Kenya remains vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, which pose both economic and fiscal risks. In response, the government is taking proactive steps to align with the global transition towards a low-carbon, climate-resilient future. To address the challenges and opportunities in climate finance and investment, the government has developed a number of frameworks, including Climate Finance Mobilization Strategy, National Policy Framework on Green Fiscal Incentives, Carbon Market Framework, as well as the National Green Taxonomy. To diversify our financing sources, address budget deficits, and fund social and environmental sustainability projects, the government is developing a sustainability-linked bond framework that will allow the issuance of a bond. We reaffirm our dedication to protecting our environment, safeguarding livelihoods, and building a climate-resilient Kenya for current and future generations. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we continue to experience challenges of disaster occurrences, mainly due to weather variability and climate change. These pose significant fiscal disruptions, while at the same time affecting lives and livelihoods of millions of Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, in order to have a financing framework to manage disaster risks, the government is finalizing the development of the Public Finance Management Disaster Risk Management Fund Regulations of 2025. The regulations seek to establish a dedicated fund for addressing 4 cycles of disaster risk management, namely preparedness, mitigation, response, and recovery. Allow me now to turn to policy and legal institutional reforms. Mr. Speaker, recognizing that sustainable economic recovery depends on the timely implementation of effective policy, legal, and institutional reforms, the government is implementing the following interventions to enhance the business environment, improve efficiency in public service delivery, and bolster accountability and transparency in the management of public finances. Number 1, public procurement reforms. Mr. Speaker, to streamline public procurement, we developed the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill of 2024, which is currently in Parliament for enactment. The bill seeks to enhance transparency and accountability, strengthen the role of the regulator to enforce standards, compliance and sanctions for non-compliant procuring entities, promote the use of local content, and align with international best practices. I urge the honorable members to fast-track this enactment. Its enactment. Mr. Speaker, in order to fully automate public procurement and asset disposal processes, I launched the end-to-end e-government procurement system in April 2025. The e-government procurement system is a complete departure from the manual processes and will lead to increased bidder participation, enhanced efficiency in processing of procurement requests, and increased authenticity of procurement documents through integration with various government systems. Mr. Speaker, the rollout of the e-procurement system is scheduled for July 2025. In order to ensure effective use of this system, the National Treasury rolled out the training of end users from procuring entities in both the national and county governments on the e-government procurement system phase 1 modules that cover procurement planning to contract management. We have since trained suppliers, and to date, 400 e-government procurement system end users comprising public finance management staff and suppliers from both the national and county governments have been trained in readiness for full rollout in July 2025. Next, I want to speak to restraining growth of public sector wage bill, which has been of serious concern. Mr. Speaker, the government continues to implement measures aimed at reducing the ratio of the government wage bill as a share of tax revenue, with a view to free much-needed resources for priority social and development spending. The government will implement the following initiatives to control the wage bill. First, the government will fully implement the unified human resource management system across all public sector entities by July 2025. This initiative is part of broader efforts to enhance public sector efficiency, improve management of wage bill, and ensure the effective utilization of public funds. Second, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission continues to sustainably reduce the number of allowances in public service through a phased approach aimed at streamlining allowances to improve transparency, accountability, equity, and fairness, thereby ensuring total public compensation bill is affordable and fiscally sustainable. To this end, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission will progressively review allowances and benefits in the future collective bargaining agreements, aligning them to the allowances policy guidelines for the public service. Allow me now to turn to state corporations reforms. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, state corporations are a major source of fiscal risks to public finances due to management and operational inefficiencies. An assessment conducted by the National Treasury to determine viability of state corporations identified critical gaps and vulnerabilities. Mr. Speaker, to address the vulnerabilities, the Cabinet in January 2025 approved reforms to streamline state corporations and enhance governance and accountability of the corporations. The reforms target to address operational and financial inefficiencies, enhance service delivery, and reduce over-reliance on exchequer support by state corporations. The approved reforms include the following. First, merger of 42 state corporations into 20 entities to improve operational efficiency and eliminate redundancy, as some have duplicating and or overlapping mandates. Second, dissolution of 25 state corporations and their functions transferred back to their parent ministries or other state corporations. Third, restructuring 6 state corporations to align their mandates for improved performances. Fourth, declassification of 4 public funds currently categorized as state corporations and transferring their functions back to the relevant ministries. And fifth, declassification of 13 professional bodies currently categorized as state corporations to private entities with no exchequer budget. Mr. Speaker,